Over the past few weeks, I've been reworking some of the core systems in my game engine, such as lighting, cameras, the asset browser, and all of them needed an upgrade. So today I want to show you exactly what changed and how it all works inside the editor. So one of the first issues I had to fix was lighting. Previously, if you wanted to add a light or tweak its properties, you had to do it manually in code. And that may work for some of us, but for anyone using the editor, that was not going to be ideal. So I reworked the lighting system. I gave lights their own components and exposed them as entities in the scene graph. Now you can create a light, change the type, point or directional, and adjust their transforms directly from the inspector view. Let me show you how that works. You can see I have a bunch of entities right now, and I know that you cannot see them, and that is because there's no light. So we're going to add an entity, and we're going to attach the light components to that entity. All right, so let's do that. I just created an entity, and let's call it the directional light. All right, so now here, what we're going to do, we're going to add a component. We're going to call it light, and you can see the lighting showed up. Like I said, you can now control the orientation for the directional light, the intensity, the color, etc. And let me add some ambient light to this scene. All right, so that way it looks a little bit better. All right, so now we have ambient light here. Now, like I mentioned, you can go from directional or point light too, right? And as a matter of fact, if you look closely, we have a point light here. But what I want to do, I'm going to add a new entity, and I'm going to assign that to be a point light. All right, so a new entity should have been created right here. Let me call it point light. And again, let's add a component point, and it's right there. So I'm going to move up the light by 3 and then move it forward by 2 units. All right, so now I want to increase the radius of the point light. So now you can see it here showing up, and you can control the color of it. Let's make it reddish, and there it is. So we have directional point lights, everything that you need, and this is a nice cool scene that I found. Next up was the camera. It used to be a standalone class, not part of the scene like the other entities, and that meant that you could not view it in the scene graph, and you couldn't customize it through components. So I refactored the camera and turned the camera into a full entity. Now its data is now controlled by components, and its behavior is handled by a camera system. And that opens the door for new ideas and new features like a camera switching, post-processing, or even following a target, later on. All right, so now, like I mentioned, the camera is now an entity, and you can see it through the scene graph. So, the scene graph shows that we have a main camera here, and we can control basically the look at function of the camera. Right now, before I show you this, let me just say this. I have two entities. One which is the main game camera, and the other one is the scene editor camera. What you see when I move here, back and forth, side by side, that is the scene camera that is moving. When we click play, what happens is that I switch to the game camera. So when I click play, I have my look at function with this particular specs, right? So you're gonna see how the camera switches position and the angle. So I'm gonna click play, and this is basically my main game camera now changing. Now my idea is that I'm going to add more components to this main camera, such as post-processing, follow a particular model, whatever we want to do. But that's the idea, and that's why I wanted to move the camera to be an entity. Now, adding meshes or animations to your entities used to be a pain. You had to open a system file browser every single time, and it broke the flow and didn't feel like part of the editor. So I built an asset browser view directly into the editor. You can now see your mesh files such as USD or OBJ files at a glance, and assign them to your entities with one click. I did run into some issues like broken texture path and limited file support, but overall, it's working. Not too happy, but it is working. But let me show you what I mean. The asset browser will be right in the middle of the editor, and you can see the models that we have here, OBJ or USDs. You can see animations, which I don't have anything right now, but our materials, for the different meshes. But let me show you how this works now. So we want to add an entity. We add an entity. Now add a component. We can add a component here, like a mesh component, I'm sorry. And so I'm going to add a particular model right now that I want to use. Where are you at? Someone added this one and assigned it. Boom. Now this one is this cool guy, this cool helmet that we have. And that's how basically the asset browser works. It makes things a lot easier. You don't have to, you don't have to go into the file system browser every single time. You just choose whatever you want to work on from here and you're good to go. And finally, I also wanted to bring in one of my favorite features when it comes to lighting, and that is image-based lighting. It was technically working in the game engine, but there was no way for you to control it from the editor. So I exposed IBL as a proper, as a feature that you can now, have access through the editor. You can now load the environment map and immediately see the lighting and reflections update in real time. Let me show you what I mean. If you go to the environment tab, you can actually apply your IBL. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to change my IBL to be this one. And you can see how the reflection change, and you can actually see the IBL that you are using, and you can now see, how the IBL is working with the mesh. If you do not want to apply the IBL, you have the ability or the option to disable it, and you can see that now no IBL is being shown. Only the directional light is actually being applied right now, but we can add it. Boom. And if you do not want this particular, IBL, you can go ahead and change it. I can change it to that one, and you can see how the reflection changes as well. And it's looking cool. And that's where the engine is right now. Lighting, cameras, asset browser, and IBL. All of them are working together inside the editor. And I'm still testing things and ironing a few bugs, especially around asset importing. That has been a nightmare. So I'm not going to push this commit yet. But I'm getting close. So, and if you are curious about the game engine or want to build something with it, stick around, subscribe, because I'll be sharing more soon, including how to get your hands on it. And if you have any feedbacks, ideas, or just want to see something specific, let me know. I want this to be more than just my game engine. I want it to be something useful for you too. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.